I, 40 female, got pregnant young and gave birth to my son 25 years ago. My family was very conservative and strict. I was disowned and kicked out of the house when they found out. My boyfriend then turned tail and ran, hours after seeing the first ultrasound. This sounds really sad and awful to say, but I felt incredibly lonely and depressed after losing everyone in my life. I've never told anyone that the reason I gave birth to and raised my son was that I wanted to have at least one person in the world who would love me and let me love him unconditionally. I couch surfed for a while and dropped out of high school to get a job. I ended up getting 3 jobs just to keep my head above water. I would feel so guilty because I just couldn't afford to give my son the life he deserved. I could never throw parties, get nice gifts, or even buy new clothes. I couldn't even spend much time with him. I brought him to daycare every single day so I could work. Of course, I had no time for friends or fun. Girls around my age would point and whisper at my son and me. I also know that some strangers would constantly side-eye me and roll their eyes. Should have kept her legs closed. Yeah, thanks, I know. My life was constant work, and I only saw my baby for a second. I lost my sense of self. My entire being was simply boiled down to struggling mom. I love my son more than anything, but the first few years after his birth were the darkest time of my life. Eventually, I struggled to earn my GED and go to college. I found lots of success and now make a good amount of money. My husband, when I married later on, does too. We have one daughter, Sophie, teen. His best friend is Jade, teen female, who visits our home often. She's practically a family now. One day, Sophie asked me to go somewhere private to speak with Jade. She's sobbing on my doorstep and confessed she was pregnant. She said she was having a hard time deciding what to do. She's tempted to keep the kid and raise it. She asked for some advice since I went through something similar. I told her everything, the poverty, the depression, the never-ending struggles, as well as my lost sense of identity. I spared no details and told Jade that I think she's better off terminating. She can have another baby, one that she's prepared for in the future and can provide a good life for. She just nodded in a daze. A week later, my daughter told me Jade made her choice. It's a sad but personally wise decision to me, at least. Later on, I was getting drinks with my friend group and explaining everything and how sad it all was. One of them, Abby, seemed a bit miffed. I asked her what was wrong, and she said I didn't share the whole story, which coerced Jade's decision. This puzzled me, and I asked for an explanation. Jade and I have very different circumstances with our pregnancies. I was incredibly poor and had no one, so my struggle was very tough. Jade, on the other hand, has nice parents who would be willing to babysit for her. They're also rich, so they would buy most of the baby's things. Her baby daddy's also sticking around and seems supportive. Abby said she understood why I had such a tough time, but Jade would experience everything differently because of her good fortune. She could have her baby and get loads of support. The fact that I painted a dark picture without considering the various circumstances was irresponsible. She says I practically coerced Jade. Now I'm not sure what to even think. Am I the idiot? A frightened girl confided in you about a pregnancy, and you later gossiped about it with friends over drinks? Sorry, what? You are the idiot for talking with friends, especially friends who could potentially judge or say something to the kid. What the heck is the matter with you? Why were you even discussing this poor girl's situation, which she confided to you and only you, with anyone else? That to me makes you a huge idiot, irrespective of the advice you gave. Yeah, gossiping about a girl that other women knew makes it even worse. OP hated when people talked about her and judged her when she was the knocked-up teen of the story, but now she's doing the same thing to her daughter's friend. OP became exactly what she despised, like 2 to 3 decades ago. OP's repulsive and a hypocrite. She never should have opened her big mouth about Jade's situation to anyone, ever. When, not if, OP's daughter finds out that OP was running her mouth, she won't trust OP again with her life news issues either. Shame on you, OP. There are too many people exclaiming congratulations and too few pointing out the realities of young motherhood. You are not the idiot. I think you were honest. Your friend assumes her family would support her and her boyfriend would stick around, But no one knows that. You were asked for your input, and you gave it. Regardless of their financial situation, I don't think any young girl is ready for motherhood. My daughter, a teen, decided to live full-time with her dad 4 years ago. I wanted to have some visitations at least, but she didn't want to do that, so I respected her choices. A few days ago, I contacted her again to see if she had changed her mind, and she said she's willing to spend every other weekend with me with these conditions. She'll have her own bedroom and not have to share with anyone. I have 3 kids, and we live in a 2-bedroom house, so that's not possible. She will have all of my attention. I have a toddler and a 1st grader who both need attention, so that's not possible. If we go out, her siblings won't join us. And who the heck is going to look after them? We can't afford a sitter. I will accept how she dresses. I agreed to this one, though I can already imagine how she'll dress. So overall, I told her I could only do the last one. She said she wouldn't be coming then, and I told her if she's going to act like a brat, then maybe that's for the best. Sorry, but I'm not a millionaire like her dad is. I can't spoil her as he does, and it's her choice if she wants to choose money over a family who loves her. She called me a witch and hung up the phone. Am I the idiot for not agreeing to my daughter's conditions? A tween doesn't choose to avoid going to visit her mom for no reason. Her conditions point to her feeling like you've never had some quality one-on-one time with her and that you would ignore her when she's over. It also doesn't feel like you like her very much. Why do you even want her to visit if you don't have the time to spend with her? Are you looking for a babysitter? You are the idiot for the missing reasons and the clear disdain that you have for your kid. Or the daughter was parentified and watching a toddler or newborn as a dweeb and said enough and moved to dad's. And a bedroom apartment with 3 kids, plus her daughter if she were to come? It reads like adults made bad life choices, and the children are the ones suffering the consequences. Bingo. 3 kids in 1 room, 4 including her? I don't blame her for wanting to leave. Your teenage daughter doesn't want to share a room with her toddler-age sibling. I highly doubt that she resents the fact that she has siblings. She probably resents the fact that you ignored her after your other kids were born and wants to be able to spend some time building a relationship with her mother. Why can't the father of your other kids look after them for a few hours while you go out with your daughter? Stop having kids you don't have space for and cannot afford. Yeah, where are the other kids' dads? Why can't they take care of their kids for a few hours so you could give her some one-on-one time? Honestly, if this is how you act to a child you're supposed to love, then she's better off without you. I mean, she's asking you for time with just you and her, and you're treating it like, LOL, how entitled. You say you're doing your best, but your best is hurting your child, and you're not even seeing it. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years. Recently, my beloved Honda Accord died after 320,000 miles, and I had to immediately get another car, as public transport isn't an option. My boyfriend began showing me BMWs, and we saw a 2017 BMW 3 Series. It was $26,000, which was wild to me, as I could get a new car for that price. I ended up with a Toyota Corolla Cross for $14,000, and he called me boring for it. I don't care about cars, so I don't mind a boring car. Conversely, he keeps complaining that women spend too much on clothes. I have the same clothes as him, but he doesn't seem to realize it and thinks that I have far more clothes and spend way more money than him on clothes. Because each piece costs a lot more, I buy a lot less of them, but they last for 5 to 10 years. I have 6 cashmere sweaters that are over $200 each, but I buy 1 a year. I bought another one this year for 60% off, and he complained that I spend too much on these sweaters. I challenged him to figure out how much he spends on clothes versus me. We both went through our credit cards. He spent almost double what I did on clothes because he bought 14 pieces, and I bought 3 this year. Because my stuff is really nice, they just last forever. For example, every 3 months he needs a new pair of jeans because of his rips. I've had the same pairs for over a decade. Mine cost over $100, and his cost around $30. He needs winter boots yearly, which usually leak water by spring. My boots are 5 years old and still fine, but his boots are $50 and mine are $200. He got mad and said each item of my clothes is still way more expensive and I spend way too much per piece. I had spent a long time trying to make the point to him that better stuff is worth the price and pointed out that he spends a lot on his car. He has an Audi A4 and it's like $900 a month, while any car would do. So why is he wasting money on cars? But when I buy a sweater that lasts for years, it's a waste of money. Because even he admits, in terms of mileage, a Toyota probably will do more miles over its life than his Audi. He snapped back that he wasn't okay with a boring car and ignored me for 2 days. I feel like he's okay with spending way too much money on a car because it's a guy thing, but since clothes are girly, it's a waste. But that made him angry when he saw that I spent less on the girly things than him. Now I understand where all those boys math and girls math memes come from. Boy math is when you spend twice as much on pants that is necessary because you refuse to buy anything but the cheapest crap, but then turn around and insist you absolutely need an Audi because it looks cool. LMAO. Not the idiot. Your boyfriend's a dummy. LOL. Yeah, your boyfriend doesn't sound so smart. He's also trying to claim women in general aren't smart because they don't spend their money on exactly what he thinks they should spend their money on. Are you sure you want to be in a relationship with him? I'd like to know if he listens to Andrew Tate. Given his dogged determination to keep judging women by the old chestnut of women be shopping, I would be very unsurprised. I think part of the reason he didn't speak to her for 2 days about what should be a very small argument, or not even an argument, is that she had actual hard evidence that he's wrong and all he has is misogynistic views that have no backup. How tiresome. Let me guess, he's into crypto and thinks it's what's going to make him rich, but he's buying at the top. So he's wildly misogynistic, sucks with money, talks down on your choice of clothes and cars, and either snaps at you or gives you the silent treatment whenever you're having a civil disagreement. What are his good qualities? Girl, he pouts for 2 days when he's proven wrong on an extremely minor issue? Lord Jesus help you when you disagree on having kids or buying a house. Worse, he's still your boyfriend, meaning he's still on good behavior. When that wears off, he's going to be utterly insufferable. Backstory. I, a teen female, was born in Spain to Spanish parents, but we immigrated to the U.S. when I was 1, and we've lived here since. We do go back to visit my grandparents and whatnot, but this year they came to us. I live in a small 2-bedroom house with my parents. I'm an only child, so I get one room to myself, and my parents get the other. This isn't enough space for my grandparents, uncle, wife, and kids. My grandparents booked a hotel near to our house, but my uncle is too cheap for that. He wants me to give up my room for his kids, while he and his wife sleep on an inflatable bed beside them in my room. I explained that I have sleeping issues and would appreciate keeping my room. He kept insisting and annoying my parents until they finally caved in and told me to sleep on the couch in the living room. I didn't want to give up my room, so when nighttime came last night, I rolled my bed to the door and locked it for extra security so they couldn't get in. Of course they were upset and tried to get me to open the door and let them in, but I didn't budge. I kept my room for the entire night. Morning time, I wake up expecting a disaster. Basically, I got yelled at for having a tantrum and not making a small sacrifice. I understand what I did. It seems like a tantrum, but I don't feel that they're entitled to my room. I pointed out that my grandparents got a hotel and they could have done the same. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and it was in no way a tantrum. Your space is not accommodations for cheapskates who are leeching by using your home instead of paying for accommodation. Stick to your guns and protect what's yours. You owe nothing to these people. If the living room is good enough for you, it's good enough for your uncle. Geez, your parents are spineless. Let's normalize kids not giving up their sleeping space for others. I would never expect my kids to sleep on the couch so my brother and his family could have their room. Maybe the parents should give up their beds to be so generous. It's so easy to tell everyone else to be more generous, but what if it inconveniences you? If a hotel's too expensive, then the trip is too expensive. It's not a teen's job to accommodate guests in their room. As for the you aren't paying rent or mortgage, what the heck? You are the idiot. Your family's hosting your relatives. Yes, you're a kid, but an older kid who can understand the kindness of a host can and should offer. What a gift that they're all visiting. It makes sense for one bedroom to be used for a full family and for you to get the living room rather than a full family in the living room and one person in a bedroom. It is nice to offer a private space to guests when possible. This isn't a permanent solution. It's how everyone can fit most comfortably together now. Be willing to be a bit more generous with family. Jesus, people think giving up your room for a couple of days is abuse on here. Like your parents agreed and they told you to sleep on the couch. You sleep on the couch. Do not barricade yourself in your room. Anyone who thinks giving up your room for a few days for family is abuse clearly is an extremely privileged and thin-skinned person. My nearly adult daughter is undeniably beautiful. She's the prettiest one in the family, respectfully, and she gets compliments 24/7. Many guys and friends she has always end up having a crush on her or asking her out. Although I'm glad she's comfortable with her looks, it becomes overbearing sometimes. Her dad calls her beautiful a lot, and so does her older sister, her friends, random guys in public. She always says thank you, but sometimes I can tell that she gets tired of it. Her younger brother, a young grammar schooler, is a very sweet kid. He always calls her pretty as well, and it's sweet because he looks up to her. Yesterday he kept saying it over and over again, and I could tell my daughter looked a bit annoyed, so I told him that he could say it once and move on. He got a little upset with me and didn't understand, so I told him that she knew she was pretty and that we could also give people other compliments. Later that day, my daughter told me she wished people would compliment her more on her skills rather than her looks. I told her I understood and that there was nothing wrong with how she felt. I don't know if there's a better way to handle it. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. He probably still doesn't understand. He's a little kid. You may have inadvertently given him the impression that calling someone pretty or even complimenting his sister is a bad thing. Your son is emulating what he's heard from all those around him. Have you told the others, like the father and sister, the same thing? You shouldn't focus on just him as the culprit. This is not his fault. Hard, not the idiot. There's no order to start correcting people's behavior, whether young or 60 years old. If you're making the girl uncomfortable by repeatedly bringing up her looks, then your behavior needs to change. The kid was constantly doing something that made your daughter uncomfortable. You told him not to. There's nothing wrong with this. You should go back and explain why we don't place such a strong focus on women's looks and little kid language. OP, give yourself a break. Your heart's in the right place by nipping this behavior in the bud.